Hi, I'm Gavin Syme.
And I'm Vivian Corrigan, and welcome to Perthshire Online TV. So how have you been this week, Gavin?
I've been very good, Vivian, very good indeed. And yourself?
Very good, yes. You had a vision in plum today.
Thank you very much. Well, I tried to make the effort for our introduction. You always so well turned out yourself.
Thank you very
a
much.
fashion icon around town.
Are you kidding?
I'm not saying a thing at this point.
Anyway, things are certainly hotting up for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee this summer, isn't it?
Well, they are. Her Majesty the Queen started her national tour last week on International Women's Day to celebrate her Diamond Jubilee celebrations.
Yeah.
And she's visiting Perth over the summertime, which is great news. Hopefully we'll have city status by then as well, which would be good, so fingers crossed. And Perth and Kinross Council announced last week their plans with regards to the Diamond Jubilee celebrations here in the town on the 2nd of June. So that's all good news. Lots of things happening.
Very
but
good.
What's all happening on the show this week?
Well, I chatted to Jim Smith about domestic violence on a previous show, and this week I chat to Hazel Bingham from Women's Aid, just continuing that theme. Now, it's a really serious topic, and so please make the time to watch the interview. And, well, you know who else is coming in? Jason Blyth is in the studio.
Mr. Jason Blyth. He's not talking about Saints, is he?
Does he talk about anything else?
I don't know.
So who have you caught up with?
Well, this week I caught up with Labour MP Gordon Banks. He's been in the studio. I also chatted with Andy Taylor, and Andy locally leads up a great fundraising enabler initiative called Peel to Save. So Andy was in the studio giving us a little bit of background to the whole Peel to Save project, which was great. We also had Mr. Stephen Leckie in the studio. Now, Stephen, as well as being the chief executive of Crieff Hydro, as we know, he's also the current chairman for the Scottish Tourism Forum. So as we're still technically at the start of this week, within Scottish Tourism Week, Stephen came in and just outlined some of the activities and the plans that's actually happening within the Scottish Tourism Forum as an organisation. So that was really good.
Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that new movie that's coming out, the one that's based in Scotland. Is it Brave? The animated one?
The new Disney movie.
So I think that'll be good. That'll be really good.
Should be good.
And I also understand there's some exciting Perthshire online tourism news that's going to be announced.
We do have some Perthshire online TV tourism news. We certainly do, but we're not going to share it on this show. That's for a week or so's time. So, as they say at this point, it's on with this week's show. This week's news round concerns Perth and Kinross Council's plans with regards to the celebrations for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee weekend on Saturday the 2nd of June. The launch for the media was actually at Perth Concert Hall last Friday, and we were there with film crew and bumped into a few people you might know. Well, here we are at the Perth Concert Hall. It's Friday, and we're about to start the media launch of Perth and Kinross Council's planned Diamond Jubilee celebrations. The celebrations here in Perth are planned for Saturday the 2nd of June. It's going to be on North Inch, and there's a variety of events happening, including a Jubilee lunch, a march of 1,000 pipers, and a hopefully world record-breaking Perth kilt run. I'm delighted that we have Brigadier Mel Jimison with us. Mel is the Lord Lieutenant of Perthshire. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's a very big year for us, Mel. What are some of the highlights for you?
Well, I think this is has to be one of the biggest years for Perth for a very long time. I'm delighted that it's working out this way. I mean, for me, of course, the most important thing for Perth and Kinross this year, there is an election going on incidentally, is the Diamond Jubilee. And of course, across the nation, United Kingdom, Commonwealth, this will be being celebrated in many different ways. So, homing in on Perth, which will, the blueprint is very much what other people hopefully will be doing. And homing in on Perth, where actually our big day is the 2nd of June, Saturday. It is actually the day that the Queen goes to the Derby, and on the following day, Sunday the 3rd, is going to be a big lunch day across the United Kingdom, like one or other, Saturday or Sunday. We've chosen Saturday, and on the 2nd of June, here in Perth, we're going to have a very, very big day. First of all, it will start with the mass Bites and Drums coming through Perth, around 1,000, and it will through the city onto the North Inch. And on the North Inch we'll have various other festivities, which I'll come on to later. Also during the day will be the kilted run to try and break the Guinness Book of Records for a number of people running in a kilt over a mileage of 5 miles. And we're aiming to beat the Canadian Ontario record. Perth, Ontario holds the record of 1,089 runners, and we're going to hopefully reach 2,000. So that's another aim of that day. The big lunch will be taking place on the North Inch, and everybody's encouraged to bring picnics or to come and buy their food there and just join in, and we're expecting thousands of people to join us there. During the day there'll be a program of music taking place on a huge stage, which is really music from many of the youth groups, ending with the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland, which will be a dynamic thing, and a finale, a suitable finale at about 6 o'clock. Then, of course, during the week, we'll be lighting beacons across Perth and Ross on the 4th of June, Monday, which is what's happening to the rest of the United Kingdom Commonwealth. And on Sunday, we're having a Thanksgiving service.
One of the key areas where Mel's involved is with the march of the 1,000 pipers. Mel has quite a background to organising these type of events. Mel, would you like to give us some background to what's actually happening on that day?
On that day, the 2nd of June, of course, we've got the mass pipes and drums. Now, we're aiming for 1,000. We're presently standing at 760. Just heard this morning that our wonderful TA battalion in Perth, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, 7th Scots, is joining us, and we very much hope that when our local battalion, the Black Watch, 3rd Scots, come back from Afghanistan, and we're all wishing them well at this time, and they've got days to do now, and we'll look forward to seeing them back. Hopefully their pipes and drums are participating, and the rest of them from all over Scotland, all our local bands, of course. We hope to see Blackguard and Rattray, Yellowlees, Cooper Angus, Kinross, Crieff, everyone from the local area, and behind them will be pipers and drummers from no less than 11 countries. It's difficult to remember who they all are, but it's Germany, it's Holland, it's Malta, Switzerland, United States, from down under, and from Canada, obviously. So there's a very international gathering of pipers and drummers. They'll be starting, I think it's around 10 o'clock on the North Inch, coming down Rose Terrace, down the High Street, turning right along St John's Street, hitting South Street, then onto the Tay Street, which is the magnificently grand street of Perth, be turning left, passing Ades and heading on to the North Inch, where they'll give a final finale demonstration of mass pipes and drums to the gathering crowd. So at that point, we'll give them a rest, and during the course of the afternoon will be musical displays from very many different groups, including fiddles and the very famous Perthshire brass bands, who are absolutely top-notch, and many others. And in the finale, at around 6 o'clock, we hope to be able to put the mass pipes and drums together with some of the brass bands to provide a suitable finale, which no doubt will include Iron Cathedral and a few other tunes that people will be familiar with. So we're hoping for a great day. It's one that I hope everyone from Perth and Ross will feel they can come and celebrate the Diamond Jubilee in style and be with us. And of course, from across Scotland, everybody's welcome to be there. And we are asking for glorious sunshine as well.
I'm delighted to be joined by Emily Watts, who's actually organising the big lunch and the big Jubilee lunch across Scotland this year. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about the big lunch.
Okay, the big lunch is a dead simple idea from the Eden Project to try and get as many people in communities across the UK coming together to have lunch on one day. That day this year is the 3rd of June, which also falls on the Jubilee weekend. So we have a Jubilee pack.
Fantastic. And in Perth, what are we going to be doing in Perth?
Well, in Perth, as part of the big Jubilee celebrations in Perth, they're having a big Jubilee lunch, which is they're encouraging people to bring a picnic basket along to enjoy the music that they're putting on, to enjoy the atmosphere, and either bring along their own picnic or buy from the local businesses.
Fantastic.
So everyone coming together for lunch.
But you've got a busy year because it's not just Perth that you're organising, so it's
No,
across Scotland.
It's across Scotland, yeah, a very busy year. And it's this year we'll have Jubilee lunches and big lunches which are undated. So if you can't make that June date, you can have it on whenever you like.
Fantastic. Well, listen, all the best for this year.
Thank you very much.
I'm delighted that we're joined by Dr. John Hulbert, who's the Provost of Perth. Provost, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Give us a little bit of your view on the highlights for 2012 for Perthshire, because it is really quite a big year for us, isn't it?
It certainly is, and the highlight, the most important highlight of all, would be the award of city status. Now we're quite hopeful. We know we've put in a very good application. We've heard that ours is one of the best application documents that they've got. We also have heard on the grapevine that there will perhaps be more than one winner. Now, with the best will in the world, with 20-odd cities from England, some of them with populations of 200,000, it was going to be difficult for Perth to be the single winner out of that entry. However, if there's more than one winner, then we're have a very good chance, I believe, because we are the only entrant from Scotland, and we've managed to get such widespread support from all the political leaders, from Civic Scotland, from all the provosts and Lord Provosts of the existing cities of Scotland. Everyone has come on board behind Perth's bid. So I'm really quite hopeful. It would be very nice if we could hear the result before the election, so that the council, the existing council, which was elected in 2007, and had this 5-year programme, beginning with Perth, with the Homecoming 2009, our 2010 celebrations for Perth's 800th anniversary, going on to the application for city status, and now coming up to the Diamond Jubilee celebrations, which will be the highlight, obviously, of 2012's celebrations.
Fairways provide cost-effective HR support, from contracts to recruitment, health and safety to training. Fairways, working with you, for you. Visit fairways-uk.com or call Perth 632 561 for a free consultation.
I did it Fairways.
Today I'm delighted that we're joined by Gordon Banks. Gordon is the MP for Ochil and South Perthshire, and he's a Labour MP. Gordon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Gordon, the last Scottish parliamentary results were a bit disappointing from a party perspective. What do you see as the strategy moving forward at this point in time in Scotland for the Labour Party?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's moving us forward is the fact that we've now got a new leadership team in place, with Joanne Lamont and Anna Sawa as leader and deputy leader of the party. And that itself was a very, very big change, because the party went through a review process that developed the way that the new leadership work, and the fact that Joanne is actually the leader of the Labour Party in Scotland, and not just leader of the Labour Party MSPs in the Scottish Parliament, and working closely with Anna Sawa, who is a member of Westminster. It shows that there's a team there working together to take things forward. And you're right, the Scottish Parliament elections were disappointing, and we have to take that on board, move forward with this new team, and develop an argument of why people should return and vote Labour.
So, moving on from that, taking that theme forward, what do you see as the party's main focus areas in Scotland at this point in time?
I think the issues that are affecting the whole of the UK are the same ones that are affecting Scotland at this point in time, and it is about disposable income, it is about job security, it is about the strength of the economy and the pressure on jobs. So those are the real issues which all political parties, I would argue, should be concerned about, but the Labour Party most definitely is mostly concerned about. And we need to get the UK and the Scottish economy growing again, because only a growing economy will deliver a growth in jobs, which will in turn deliver disposable income.
Yeah. And from your perspective as an MP for Ochil and South Perthshire, what do you see as being your core agendas at this point in time?
Well, trying to ensure that economic growth is argued for, and that the cuts that we're experiencing just now, which are very, very deep, and certain parts of the population in the United Kingdom are being held responsible in some ways for the economic difficulties that we've had. Public sector workers are being very, very much targeted by this government in Westminster, and some of some of the cuts that are coming out of Hollywood are just as vicious. So it really is to be a strong voice for the people who have had no hand in the economic catastrophe that we found ourselves in, and who are being seen as a route out of it.
Scottish independence. Where do you stand on that one? There's very different opinions from everybody that you ask, realistically, isn't it?
Unsurprisingly, you may not be surprised to learn that I'm not in favour of Scottish independence. I'm a member of the Labour Party. I think Scotland has a better future as part of the United Kingdom. I think that the way that the Union has developed over many hundreds of years has been the envy of many parts of the world, but that's not to say that Scotland couldn't be independent. There are poorer, smaller countries in Scotland that are independent. The argument has got to be that Scotland's future is better being part of the Union than taking a risk into a step of independence, which, quite frankly, no one knows how that would play out.
So the local elections are imminent.
Yeah.
How's the Labour Party preparing for that?
Very well, I would say. There's a lot of activity going on throughout the length and breadth of Scotland, and there's a lot of focus on what we have to do. Obviously, coming on the back of the Scottish Parliament elections, that doesn't give you a good springboard to work from. We're aware of that. But at the same point in time, we know that there are key areas in Scotland, such as Glasgow, North Lanarkshire and Midlothian, where we currently hold councils, where there will be a significant effort to try and to retain these. But also, we've got to be able to grow our share of elected councillors in many other areas as well, and get back to the fact that the Labour Party is there to represent the people of Scotland. And the best way to do that is to get our candidates out, knocking on doors, speaking to voters, and telling them what the Labour Party stands for today, and why it's so important when we have an SNP government in Holyrood and the Tory Lib Dem coalition in Westminster, that we have a Labour Party representation.
Yeah, completely. You mentioned a few things there. You were talking about, the role that somebody has, and an MP is a job
that's
to
right.
some extent.
Yeah.
You've got probably one of the biggest geographical areas, I think, in Ochill and South Perthshire and in the whole of the UK. Is that right? What do you think are the core aspects and the core skills of an MP to do his or her job these days? Because it's a different world a little bit now from what it was maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it probably is. Not having been an MP 20 years ago, I wouldn't presume to say that it's so different. But things have evolved. The constituency that I represent is the 27th biggest in the UK. It's a very, very big piece of geography to cope with, and that means that you've got to plan your workload an awful lot to make sure that you actually get the best out of your day, and you don't spend an hour driving somewhere for half an hour and half an hour driving back, which very, very quickly eats up your day. But the way I approach my job, I see my job is broken into two. I have a job when I'm in Westminster, which obviously does involve liaison with my constituents, but it's very much on a political sense. But most constituents come to me about non-political issues. They come to me about housing issues, they may come to me about environmental stuff, they may come to me about their employment predicament. Now, whilst everything is linked into politics with a small p or a capital P, it's not as if they're coming to me and asking me to vote a particular way on a particular piece of legislation. They come to me with their problems, and they sit in front of me, and I try to approach it in the way that, viewing the person that's sitting in front of me, how I would want to be treated myself,
right? Yeah.
Or how I would want a member of my family treated if they went to their member of parliament. I would be looking for that member of parliament to do everything they possibly could to address the concerns of the person in front of them and try to be as helpful as possible. That is the ethos that I work to. It's the ethos that I've tried to ingrain into my members of staff. And I think that's been well rewarded, with the 2010 general election result. But there are so many different kinds of problems that people have, and you have to develop a whole load of skills and a whole load of developing skills all the time to be able to give constituents the level of service that not only that they want, but that I want to give to them.
Mm-hmm. Great. Gordon, listen, thank you very much for your time today. Thanks for popping into the studio, and hopefully we'll see you back on Perthshire Online TV sometime soon.
Love to.
Hello, I'm Jason Blyth, here with an eye on the pitch for Perthshire Online TV. And now, with Steve Lomas and his squad not having to focus on any cup competitions, St Johnston can now focus on a top 6 finish before the SBL League split in Easter. St Johnston are now currently sitting 5th in the league, and if you couple that with Rangers' financial situation, there's a very strong possibility of European football at McDermott Park. So, to help me to discuss this further, I'm joined by someone you might not just recognise for his face, but also for his voice. It's the St Johnston Tannoyman, Kevin Giles. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hi Jason, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Now, you must be due a testimonial up at McDermott Park. Just how long have you been announcing up there?
Well, I was trying to work it out the other day. I think it's about 8 seasons I've been doing it now. So it's one of those ones I just dropped in it by accident. It was.
How did you get into it?
Well, I was there. I used to do hospital radio commentary up there, and one day Ed Strang-Steele, the previous announcer, couldn't make it. He was off sick and had a family problem. He couldn't get up from the borders. So at 5 to 2, I was frantically asked, "Can you please do the Tannoy for us?" Never tried it before, but having done hospital radio, it was quite easy. So I went up there, just went and grabbed some CDs out that I could find in the Tanner box up there, and picked up the microphone, and that is history. So I did 2 games at the end of that season. That must have been about 2003, 2004. Ed left in the summer to take up a job in America, and I got the nod, and that was it. I've been doing it ever since.
Excellent. And I suppose everyone's dream is to watch the favourite football team play and get to play all their favourite songs at the same time.
Yes, I mean, there's. It's great watching your favourite football team, but it's also a bit frustrating at times. Because you have to be there for the highs and the lows. You can't, unlike you guys, you can't just sort of leave 10 minutes before the end of the match.
I stay regardless anyway, but I know what you say. So you're bound to have come across some really memorable matches and having a great view from the Tannoy box. Any in particular?
Been some fantastic memories from there. I mean, I joined sort of when they were still in Division 1. And we were still struggling. It was the Billy Stark, John Connolly era when I first got there. And I remember the first really big moment there, apart from my biggest blooper of ever. But the biggest moment I had there was announcing Goran Stanic's first ever goal in Scotland. It was
a bit of a tongue twister.
It was a bit of a tongue twister, Goran Stanic. Yes, that was the start of the tongue twisters. We were playing Hamilton. It was back in October 2005, and Goran had broken up the left wing as he did. And, fond memories of Goran doing these sort of things. Burst up the left wing, and he's being tugged back by one of the Hamilton midfielders, and he's trying to shrug him off. And 35 yards from goal, he just swung his left boot, and that ball just hit the back of the net. The goalie didn't even move. He didn't see it. It just slammed in there, and it was one of those sort of big yes moments. The whole place erupted. And that for me. That was probably the first of the big ones there. And we had loads of Challenge Cup finals there, which have been good fun as well. You get all the crowds involved. But I suppose the biggest game we've had at McDermott Park that I can remember being involved in was when we won the championship in 2009. Just euphoria. The place was buzzing. It was packed.
Pitch invasion
at the end, despite me saying, please don't invade the pitch. Do not come onto the pitch after the game. I went on the pitch.
Oh, why not? When in Rome.
But it was great. The atmosphere was buzzing. Then Savos hammered in that third goal on about 75, 76 minutes. And we knew then that we'd made it. We were up in the SPL. We were back where we belonged. And it was absolutely brilliant. It was, my hairs are standing on my neck just thinking about it. It was just such an atmosphere then. And down on the pitch, the players were hugging the fans and hugging each other, and the kids were down there. And I was trying to catch up with Dell to get an interview with him.
Can you get near him?
Yes, I did. Yeah, and he did. He's a really nice guy, and he took time out to say a few words. Then get your photo taken with the Championship Cup as well. But I mean, you say that any memorable games. They're the highs. I mean, another one was Martin Hardy coming off the bench in the first season of the SPL, or back in the SPL.
Against Hearts, was it?
Against Hearts, yeah. Free kick 20 yards out, and he's screaming, "Hold it! Hold it!" He came on the pitch, ran off the bench, onto the pitch, didn't even slow down, just ran up to the ball, hoofed it in, 20 yards, round the wall, in the bottom corner. Brilliant. You can't write scripts for that sort of thing. But there's the other side of it, is the other memorable ones, like going to Hamilton, with us or Gretna going to be champions of Division 1. The players played out their boots that day down there. We came away 4-3 winners. We came from behind twice to win it. But they kicked off up at Dingwall 5 minutes late. And we're sitting there sort of bouncing, yeah, this is our year. This is our year. We're going to take this one. And then the announcer came and said, there's been a goal at Dingwall. Gretna have won. And I've never felt such a slump. All the adrenaline sort of became sour. And a very silent bus going back, as we had a few silent buses coming back from a few cup semi-finals as well. But there's been some great moments, and that to me, and actually seeing the first of the SPL games back at McDermott Park as well was just great. So,
proud moment.
Proud moment, yes. I mean, I'm proud to be part of St Johnston. It's I've only been up in Scotland now for 13, 14 years, but it's been since I've been in Perth. It's been my team. It's been I was going, and that was it. It was. You can't whack it.
Excellent. Well, you were talking about the Gretna game there. That was when Saints were in the first division under Owen Coyle.
Yeah, it was.
Now we're in the SPL, contemplating the possibility of a European place next season. How excited are you about the prospect of playing European football?
I'm very excited about the prospect of European football, but I'm not holding my breath. It's one of those ones I've learnt over the years that with St Johnstone, you don't sort of say, yes, yeah, that's it, we're going to go for it. I'd love us to get the European slot. It's going to be with the Rangers debacle and them collapsing. It looks more than certain now that the SFA will turn around and say, okay, there'll still be the 4 European slots available, but instead of Rangers, it'll go to the 4th and 5th place. So we've got everything to play for.
It's quite a complicated process, this European spot,
as we've discussed previously, and sort of everyone's trying to work it out. The Celtic, without any doubt, are going to win the SPL. There's the only team that can challenge now, Motherwell. There's not enough games left for them to catch up, so technically Celtic have won. So they're going to get a slot. Motherwell are like to be runners-up, so they're going to get a slot as well. They may also get the slot as a cup winner if they beat Celtic in the cup final, which leaves it open. Rangers are going to be sort of floating around somewhere in there in some form or another, but they won't be allowed a European slot. That leaves the 4th, 5th and 6th place teams to fight out for the other 2 slots that are available. We've got Dundee United going rampant at the moment. You said we're at the top of the programme there, we're in 5th place. We're technically in joint 4th because we've got the same points as them, and we've actually got a game in hand.
That's true.
Which in the old days meant we would have been higher than them. But let's keep this straight. But it's we've still got some hard games coming up for us. We've got St Mirren away in a week on Saturday. We've got Cali Thistle away midweek after that. We've then got Hearts at home. And then the last game before the split is Celtic away, which, okay, we did win there earlier in the season, and I'd hope to do it again.
2 in a row, big ask.
Do we? Well, I'd say in a row with Celtic.
No, absolutely not.
But it could be a great one. I mean, it could be a great end to the pre-split. Then afterwards, we've still got 5 games to play after that, and the likelihood is that we're going to have Motherwell and Celtic at home, and be away at Rangers, Dundee United, and Hearts. And you really can't. When you start thinking along those sort of lines, what a tough end of season it's going to be. And it's not where we are at the end of the season, it's where we are at the end of the split. That dictates whether we get the European slot. Everything to play for,
Absolutely, but I mean, all this European talk is coming from Rangers and their current financial situation. Do you think the demise up at Rangers could have a big impact at McDermott?
I think, and this is me talking now. This isn't. This is
in your personal
in my
opinion.
own personal opinion. Yes, as they like to say on television. I think if Rangers go under completely and are liquidated, it will be a disaster for the SPL. The TV money we get from the moment from Sky and from ESPN is basically to allow them to broadcast 5 Old Firm games a season. If there's no Old Firm games, where's the attraction? There isn't another club which has got the same strength as the Old Firm. Motherwell are proving themselves this season to be quite a strong side, but if you remember last season, they were struggling to make the top 6. So there's something there. St Johnston are a massive resurgence. Yeah, we're coming through. We've got probably the best team I've seen at McDermott Park for years and years. You've got Dundee United playing with basically the youth team from 3 years ago, and Peter Houston's done a wonderful job over there. And it's got a great policy to see him coming through. But there isn't that glamour of a Chelsea versus Spurs game, Man United, Man City, Birmingham City, Aston Villa, with a big local derby. If there's no Old Firm, there's probably going to be no TV, which means a massive drop in revenue. It means Scotland could become a backwater in football. And I think there's going to be some long, hard thinking to be done about what happens to Rangers if they are going to be slung out of the SPL, and if they are, what's going to happen after that.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see what unfolds in the next few weeks anyway, as I'm sure
It's going by the minute, though.
Yeah, I know, exactly. We'll see I know it changes every hour. But let's just focus in on the St Johnston squad at the moment. There's been a change in the goalkeeping department.
Yes, there has.
In the past few games, Alan Mannis replacing Peter Enkelman. I think that's a positive change that Lomas has made.
I don't think it's a positive anything. I think we're actually exceedingly lucky. We've got 2 international goalkeepers there, Alan Mannis for Northern Ireland and Peter Engelman for, I'll be shot down in flames, I think it's Iceland or Finland, I can never remember which one it is.
I'm with you on Iceland.
Yes. You look at the other teams in the SPL, who else has got 2 international goalkeepers like that, apart from Rangers? Possibly Celtic. There isn't anyone. We're lucky we've got such strength in depth there. Peter's had a poor run of form recently. I think the 5-1 gubbing by Dundee United was really the nail in his coffin. Alan's come in and he's been sitting in the background all the time waiting for this opportunity. And he's grasped it with both hands, very securely with both hands as well. He's coming out, he's making some good saves. He's got a lot of confidence in his defensive line in front of him and his defensive line in him as well, which is good to see. They're all supporting each other. I think we're just lucky that we can actually have a replacement keeper which is of the same standard and quality that we need to make the top 6 ours.
And at the other end of the pitch, the SAS, the Sheridan Sandaza combination, something's not happening for them at the moment, with one of them being injured. What's gone wrong with the SAS at the moment? I don't think
anything's gone wrong really. We started out with Fran at the front, Fran Sandaza at the front there. With the big striker, he's come in and he's hammering goals left, right and centre. Killian, he was running off Killian's ball and it was scoring. Other teams have seen this now and they've been watching what they're doing. They now know how to shut Fran down. They double team him. You watch him on a Saturday afternoon, every time he gets the ball, 2 players come in on him and they'll hold him in. But what he's actually doing now, he's actually turning from goal scorer to goal provider. He's redeveloped himself.
Found a new niche.
Well, he has. And if you look at the Dunfermline game the other weekend, the first 2 goals for the Davidsons, Murray and Callum, he supplied both the balls in for them. And it's great to see that, there's that he's a striker, but he's still prepared to sort of put the support work in. Yes, he does a rush of blood to the head and decides that he's going to go on his own and blast one over the bar, almost into the.
But sometimes they can pay off.
It can, but he's still got goals inside him. I think there's a lot more to come out of him. Killian, he's not scared of anybody, especially when he had that beard on. He wasn't scared of anyone at all. But he'll just keep attack. It's really just a case of, he was unlucky last weekend with the red card. From what I heard, it probably wasn't a red card, but it's a bit controversial to start discussing.
Kind of evened itself out anyway, that kill again.
It did, yes. But see Killian there. He's running on. He's scoring goals. Dunfermline, you saw there. He'd beaten the keeper, and he's turning around doing this, starting the celebration. And of course, what happens comes off the inside of the post. And the force was with Dunfermline that day.
I think so.
It was just couldn't believe all three bars being rattled. So.
Well, Kevin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you, Jason.
I'll keep sending you my requests. No more Spice Girls, though. I've had enough of them. Just kidding. Just kidding.
It's Cheeky Girls next, is it?
Cheeky Girls next. That's next on my hit list. Thank you very much. So, depending when you're watching this episode, the next Saints game is actually the Battle of the Saints up at Paisley. That's on Saturday, the 17th of March, and that's with a 3 p.m. kickoff. On my next episode, I'll be interrogating another St Johnstone superfan. So until then, from Kevin and myself, on the Saints.
Go Saints!
It is essential that victims of domestic abuse are provided with emotional and practical support. And here to discuss this with us is Hazel Bingham, Manager of Women's Aid in Perth. Hello Hazel, lovely to have you. And this is a very serious topic that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, women come to Women's Aid who have suffered domestic abuse. Sometimes they don't know it's domestic abuse they've suffered, and they will describe things that are happening in the household to us that they've just maybe came to the end of the line with it and want to know what they can do, that perhaps there's been a bit of bullying and things going on, and shouting and things like that, and the emotional side of it can be very difficult, controlling behaviour. So sometimes they need to know that that is what we would say is domestic abuse as well.
It's not just physical then?
No, but women do come to us that suffer both. And the physical abuse always comes hand in hand with emotional abuse. They're never separate. But the emotional abuse can be separate, and that's what women struggle with. They don't know what really is happening, and every aspect of their life is controlled. Even women are timed when they go to the shops and things like that. So it's very difficult for them to understand that it is domestic abuse. But once we, explain what it is to them, then they can get help from us.
Now, your role isn't just to say leave and that's the end of your problems, is it?
No, because women come to us and first of all they want to know what they can do. They perhaps put a lot into the family, they're in maybe an owner-occupier, or they don't know where they're going to end up if they leave an abusive partner. And some women believe that there's nothing they can do at all, and no one would believe them. And that's the first thing we do, we believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's the first time someone's actually believed what they're saying.
That's what I was going to say, because this is often, it's embarrassing, isn't it? And it's hidden, and they don't want to tell their family, but they might feel more comfortable telling you, and then you're believing what they're saying.
Yes, it is sometimes very difficult. They've maybe approached family and friends for help before, and perhaps they've get fed up, with them coming all the time, and they don't know what to do, what to say, or they're still in the relationship, and that's when family and friends run out of patience.
Yes.
We never run out of patience. We're there for as many times as it takes, but also there to, first of all, explain what their options will be, what their legal options will be with regard to protective orders, perhaps, or even how they can access housing under homeless legislation, what they can do about benefits if they need to go on benefits, everything, all the practical things like that. They need to know that there is something they can do, and every step of the way that the women's support workers will explain that and lay out the options. We never ever advise a woman what course to take. It's her life, but we will lay out the options in front of her, and if she decides to take any one of those, that's fine. But while she's still living with the abuser, we can talk about safety planning.
Right.
You know, even if she's planning to leave, because we are part of a whole network of women's aid groups throughout the country, including England and Ireland, and we can, if need be, and sometimes that is the last resort for women, they need to move completely away from the area, so we can find them safe refuge accommodation throughout the country. But that takes planning.
Yeah, because some people maybe come to you and there's a crisis situation. I mean, they've maybe had to literally flee out the door, and they arrive and they've got nothing.
Yes.
So under those circumstances, what does Women's Aid do?
Well, if they arrive like that, the first thing we would ask them is, you know, have they any family and friends in the area? Where could they move to if they needed to move out the area? So we establish that first of all. Then we look for accommodation for them. Now, if there's time in the day, we might be able to move them that day. If not, we would, you know, get emergency accommodation either through the council, or certainly we would put women into bed and breakfast in the very short term until we've found, you know, a more permanent place for them to go to. But that happens quite often. Women arrive with absolutely nothing.
And this is across society. It's at every level, this problem, isn't it?
Absolutely, every level. No area is immune to domestic abuse.
It's not just poorer families.
Absolutely not. I have over the years dealt with clergymen's wives, you know, wives of social workers, policemen as well, even you know, consultants at the hospital, business people as well, and it's very difficult, you know, for anyone to come forward and say, you know, that I have been suffering this abuse.
And it could be that they are leaving a lot behind. They've got children, and there's all the problems with that as well, isn't there? You know, the support for them.
Yeah.
So it's a very multifaceted problem that you're dealing with.
It is, and sometimes that is the thing that can keep a woman in the situation. She believes she can put up with whatever's happening for the sake of the children. And also, if she's moving away from a very affluent area, she doesn't know where she's going to end up living. She doesn't know what is she entitled to from that house. What can she take? Because she's been told, you'll get nothing.
Yeah.
You walk out that door, you're walking out with nothing.
Yes.
Or the fear keeps there as well, because he will threaten to do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
If he's got a hint that she'll leave, he'll say things like, the only way you're going to end this marriage is in a box. And so women will stay there. So it's very hard for people who don't understand the complexities of domestic abuse to understand that fear keeps a woman exactly where she is.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side of it. There's the good lifestyle perhaps that their children have got, you know, maybe in private school, or they've got access to all sorts of extracurricular things that might even have horses or other pets like that. And they'll be thinking, I've got to take them away from all that. It's what I'm doing, and they feel very, very guilty about that. So they will try and maintain that lifestyle for as long as possible for the children.
Yeah, and I know you work with other agencies, the police, Bernardo's as well, so there is lots of support out there, isn't there?
Yes, there is, and it's good that we know what other agencies do and they refer to us, and very much with the police now. The police have changed so much over the years in the services that they provide, and we always encourage women to report, you know, to the police. We will also liaise very much with the social work department when it comes to children, because we have a dedicated children's service as well, where we provide one-to-one support for children and young people, and also group work, and also some fun social activities as well, because they need to have that in their lives and access to activities that they've maybe never tried in their life before. So the children's workers are there for the children. They listen to them and advocate in their behalf.
So the message that you want to get over, I mean, this is a crime, it's unacceptable, domestic abuse, and what message do Women's Aid want to get over today?
What I'd like to get over is we're here for the journey. We're here for however long it takes, how many times that a woman needs to come back to Women's Aid. We'll never give up on it.
And that can take years, that journey, can't it?
Yes, it can. As I've explained, it's very difficult, and leaving an abuser is a process. It's not a one-off event, and it can take an average up to 7 years for a woman to leave an abuser. because she's invested a lot in this relationship. The relationship is not all bad. There's still feelings there. You don't turn your feelings off like you turn off a tap.
No.
And sometimes the first time a woman will leave, he will promise her the earth, moon and stars. He'll say it'll never happen again. And sometimes she wants to leave to, to say to him, I'm teaching you a lesson. This is not acceptable. I'm not putting up with this. And she'll go back hoping that the man that she first got involved with
Yes.
is still there.
And there might be a brief honeymoon period.
Yes, there is. But inevitably what happens every time a woman goes back, she is given away more and more power and control into the hands of the abuser. But she doesn't understand that at the time, and she needs to go through that process, because it's everyone's life, as individuals. You cannot make that decision for someone. You can't say to them, don't go back. What we do say is, we're there.
Yes.
You can come back again. We'll never give up.
That's-
Don't think that you let us down in some way,
Yeah.
that we're always there.
Yeah.
So we're there for however long it takes the journey
That's
to take.
excellent, and it's fantastic that there are organisations like Women's Aid that are there to provide help and support. So if you are a victim of domestic abuse, then contact Women's Aid and know that you will get the best help and support and a listening ear.
Well, I'm delighted today to be joined in the studio by Andy Taylor. Andy is with the Peel to Save card initiative, which is for charity fundraising. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So, tell us a little bit generally about Peel to Save. How does the card actually do, and how do you go about engaging in the process with you?
Well, Peel to Save is an initiative that's quite new to the UK. We started rolling out in the middle of last year. It's been running for about 10 years in the States.
Right.
And it's raised millions, or helped raise millions, for good causes over there. And it's rolling out over here. We're rolling out throughout Scotland as well as the rest of the UK. It's essentially a service where we are providing fundraisers with help in their fundraising activities. We help them to target their projects, to give them focus, and to help them get the best they can out of their campaign. And we also give them a tool to do that, which is the Peel to Save card, which you mentioned, and that sells for £10. The fundraisers sell the cards, we don't sell the cards,
Right.
and they get to keep £5 from each card they sell.
Fantastic.
So this is the actual card, and it contains 64 peel-off vouchers, hence the name Peel to Save. And these are vouchers with great discounts and offers from leading local businesses. They're all local to Perth, in and around Perth. And the total value of all of those vouchers will come to over £400.
And you buy it, and I buy it for £10.
You buy it for £10,
Great.
and half of that goes to the good cause. So they're getting a very healthy 50% out of this.
Excellent.
And you get, in return as the customer, you get the chance to have over £400 worth of savings. So the way this really works is that, in effect, you're buying something for £10, you're giving a healthy donation, but you're getting your money back in either one or two vouchers. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. You can get your money back almost instantly.
Of course. So the organisations that use the card for their fundraising activity, just as I'm understanding and the viewers understand, it's not necessarily that you've got to be a registered charity or anything like that, have you?
No, you can be a registered charity, of course, and lots of people are, but as long as you're a not-for-profit organisation, you can get involved with using Peel to Save. So you could be a school, a parents' association, you could be Scouts, you could be Girl Guides, you could be any similar organisation to that, you could be a kids' football club, you could be a church, you could be any support organisation, or you could indeed be a business or some other entity that wants to raise funds on behalf of others.
Right, so it can be either on an ongoing basis, or it can just be specifically for a specific initiative or project or effort, really.
Well, it can be. You can have it as a slow burner that goes on over a long period of time. But we do find that the best way to make this work for you is to run it as a project, a specific fundraising campaign. And we normally find that periods of 2 to 3 weeks work really, really well, because it helps everybody focus on their task.
And the fundraisers themselves, they don't have to go and find the businesses to offer the discounts or anything like that. That's essentially, you've done that work for them.
Absolutely, we've already done that. We spent last summer building this up so that we had a very, very good mix on the card. which comprises local cafes, restaurants, but also leisure outlets, retail outlets, so that everybody can get something from the card. It doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter where you come from. You can find something on the card that will really give you payback almost immediately. So you're bound to recover your £10. Then if you can go on and win my competition to get over £400 worth of savings, then so be it. But the first and foremost point about this is that we're helping everybody to help each other. So it's a real community effort. The consumers get something out of it. They're not being asked to put their hand in their pocket every 5 minutes to just donate. The businesses are getting something out of it because they're making some very good offers on the card to encourage people to go and use their business. And the fundraisers, of course, are finding it very, very easy.
So can you give us a little bit of an overview of some of the charities or the fundraisers who are using the card currently at this point in Perthshire?
Currently we've got quite a number of initiatives with a wide range of people. We're working with PCAVS, which is the Perth and Kinross Association of Volunteer Services.
Know them well.
They were one of the first people to start using the card, and they are obviously a proper charity. And they're selling cards either via little campaigns or directly to the public from their gateway offices in North Methven Street. We've actually got a good mix going on with them because Willows, who happen to be on the card, are selling cards from their coffee shop and restaurant in St John's Place, and all the proceeds there are going towards PCAVS.
Great.
We've got other people such as Perth Autism Support, which is a comparatively new charity just set up at the end of 2011, and they're raising funds specifically at the moment to take a group of children on the autistic spectrum for animal therapy, which is basically they're going to use horse riding because it really helps resonate with the children. We've got a whole range of other people. We've got a scout group, the 74th Perthshire Scout Group attached to the Congregational Church have just started a campaign. We've got the Perth City, Fair City maidens who are roller derby girls who are raising funds to keep themselves going and provide us with entertainment. We've got a group of girls at the Perth Academy who are raising funds for a trip to Lima in Peru. They're going to help the street kids of Peru as part of the Vine Trust initiative. And they've been going for a while now, and just when they can find time between studies, they're going out and selling cards to friends and family and lots of other people. So they will have ended up spending probably a lot of spare time, but raising something in the region of £400, which helps towards flights for them to go and take part in this charitable cause.
Yeah, and it's great because it's a great sort of self-investment circle a little bit, isn't it? Because you're actually ploughing the money and using and going to the local businesses as well, so they're benefiting from that.
Absolutely, and this is why we treat it as a complete community initiative. It is something where everybody in the community can win. The businesses win, the charities win, and most of all in these times as well, the consumers are winning because it's extremely tough at the moment. If you can get savings in any way you possibly can, this is a big help.
So, any fundraising activity or organisation out there in Perthshire, how do they go about getting involved, Andy? Do they just contact you directly?
They just contact me directly. They can either phone me, they can access me through our national website, they can access me through the Facebook page that we've set up, and I do a lot of promotion of the charities and the businesses through Facebook page so that we really get the message out there and provide everyone the coverage that they deserve by taking part.
Yeah. And as an organisation, Peel to Save nationally has done, I think last year you won a couple of awards or something as well.
Yes, we did, which was quite remarkable because it's our first 6 months of operation, but we won Best Business Awards for 2011, which was for corporate social responsibility, and we've won one at the very beginning of this year, which is a Global Business Excellence Award for Outstanding Community Initiative, which is really pleasing. So we are able to get our message out on a wider stage. The fact that those are awards that are to do with the business community means that our message is going into businesses to encourage them to work and use the Peel to Save on behalf of others who are less fortunate. So that can fulfill so many different aspects of their business. It helps to motivate staff, it helps get a real kindred spirit within the organisation, and it helps them put something back into the community.
Great. Well, Andy, listen, super initiative for Perth and Perthshire, and pop back into the studio sometime soon, and we'll get an update from you.
Look forward to that. Thank you.
So there you go. Peel to Save, super initiative. Get in touch with Andy via his Facebook page, or if you're watching the show, please just drop us a note at info@perthshireonline.co.uk, and we'll pass your details over to Andy. I'm joined today by Stephen Leckie. Stephen is the chairman of the board of the Scottish Tourism Forum. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Stephen, first of all, for the viewers, can you give a little bit of an outline as to the Scottish Tourism Forum and what it's actually all about as an organisation?
Yes.
And its key objectives?
Well, Scottish tourism as a whole in Scotland has 20,000 businesses. It's similar to farming, actually, the National Farmers Union. If you hear about the National Farmers Union, you might think that's the voice of the farming union. The Scottish Tourism Forum is the voice of the industry, representative of 20,000 businesses around Scotland related to tourism.
Right. So at this point in time, you know, I understand that with the economy and things, Scottish tourism has maybe had a few challenges. I think there were some plans and objectives for reaching in 2015. How does the Scottish Tourism Forum see the general industry sector at this point in time?
Yes, well, back in 2005, it was decreed that we would grow tourism by 50%, a target by 2015. That just won't happen, especially given the economic circumstance the last 2 or 3 years. So what we're trying to do now is just understand what's going on with the industry, who's saying what. Of these 20,000 businesses, 70% have less than 9 employees. Again, it's very similar to farming, and 90% have less than 49 employees. We're made up of geographically disparate and fragmented, spread out around Scotland, lots and lots of small businesses. And the Scottish Tourism Forum's role in life is how do we get all these guys together to sing from the same song sheet.
Right, and some of the initiatives in 2012. I know there's lots of projects. There's Scottish Tourism Week and a whole host of things. Can you share some of the agenda for the year ahead?
Yes, so Scottish Tourism Week is a big week for us, and we've had more than 50%, 66 MSPs signed up to Scottish Tourism Week, i.e. saying tourism is good for Scotland. There's an acknowledgement that tourism now is big in Scotland. It represents over 10% of the GDP of Scotland and employs more than 10% of the working population in Scotland. Tourism is big in Scotland, so it's great that the MSPs are realising that now. And we have a very able Minister for Tourism, Fergus Ewing, who speaks at our conference and dinner next week, and parliamentary drinks reception in the evening. So that's all good news in terms of flagging up. Look, tourism is big for Scotland. 5.2 million residents of Scotland all are linked to tourism in some way.
Mm-hmm. And apart from Scottish Tourism Week, are there key initiatives for the forum at this point in time?
Well, we're going to change the name to the Scottish Tourism Alliance next week. That will be announced, and the reason for that is the forum slightly conjures up a name for a top shop. We mustn't be that. Part of our job is to listen and talk, but the alliance will be the Alliance of Influencers. So the Scottish Tourism Association, the Alliance of Influencers, that's what it's all about. The Association of Associations. There's 250 associations around Scotland related to tourism. For example, Crieff and District Tourism, Oban and Lorne Tourism, Blairgowrie and East Perthshire Tourism. They're all great associations in their local area, but they must understand where they fit with the national strategy for tourism in Scotland. Scotland is the envy of the world, of Europe, because we have a publicly funded marketing body in Visit Scotland, and how well run that is as well. 50 odd million pounds of taxpayers' money goes back into Visit Scotland to help market Scotland, to attract more customers to Scotland from England, from Ireland, Wales, Europe and the rest of the world.
And internationally as well. I mean, that's our target market, really, isn't it?
So that works ever so well for Scotland, and government are realising that. And people like John Swinney and Fergus Ewing listen to us when we talk about things like broadband and rural broadband and mobile phone signal and 3G and rural mobile phone signal. They understand that 95% of our customers who visit Scotland use their mobile phone, their smartphone, for finding out what's going on in the area, and that's so important for the economic growth of the country.
You were at a conference recently. You were presenting at a conference recently. I think you were the keynote introductory speaker, should I say? And you made reference to the new Disney Brave movie.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of a background to that. You seem to be very well versed on it.
Well, Brave is a very exciting thing for Scotland. Braveheart, which everyone's heard of in Scotland. there'll be 4 times, we project 4 times the viewers of Brave over Braveheart. Imagine that, going out on June the 22nd this year, being launched to 72 countries around the world. That's big and good for Scotland. So Visit Scotland are really cashing in on this, and that will help people around the world understand that actually Scotland's a great place to come and visit. And so the Scottish Tourism Alliance, its realisation is, right, how do we help businesses get going with this? How do we help government understand what's required here? So this is about roads and access and flights and travel in and ease with which customers can visit Scotland.
Great. Stephen, thank you very much for your time today. Thanks for giving us such a good summary of the tourism sector in Scotland at this point in time. And best wishes for the new Scottish Tourism Association in 2012 and the events.
Thank you.
Well, that's another week and another show, so thank you for joining us again.
Yes, thanks very much, and we're always wanting to hear from you, so please email us on info@perthshireonline.co.uk. You can follow us on Twitter @PerthshireOn, or you can like and follow the Perthshire Online Facebook page. And remember, get your registrations in for the Perth Kilt Run on the 2nd of June. Are we entering that?
Well, you are. I know that for a fact. You are. You're
Really?
definitely doing it, and so's Elaine.
I'll need to speak to Stephen Blyth, because if he's accepting registrations from people other than the people themselves...
I know, I was going to register the director as well, Barry.
Really?
Yeah, well, he's always telling us what to do.
Barry Freestone is going to be running in a
Fancy
kilt.
the quilt. Fancy the kilt, but not sure about the run.
Well, there you go. I tell you, now that would be good
I'd
to
pay
watch.
money to
I
see
would
that.
pay lots of money to watch the training of that one down the North Inch anyway.
That would be good.
So, well, listen, thanks again for tuning in, folks. We'll see you next week.